The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and
He missed the complete that. He's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield before. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
American sports car racing has some classic venues in the Northeast, none of which are more iconic than Lime Rock Park. A curiously short course by modern standards, it has withstood the test of time, and its cozy charms continue to bring fans out in droves year after year. But cozy also describes the confines the drivers must deal with, and though it may be snug between three high-powered classes of cars, everyone must deal with those extraordinary circumstances for 45 whole minutes. Who can weave their way through the frantic mess to get to the top step of the podium? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 6 of the HPP Simulation Sports Car Challenge, and you'll see it all live on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth covering the DP and GT3 classes is Bill Soup Zahn. Next to him covering the GTE class is Justin Prince. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Justin, the term bull ring tends to be used to describe short course ovals, but I almost feel like it ought to be applied here too.
I kind of feel the same way, Joe, because this is a 1.53 mile road course, a distance that has been taken by gospel ever since when this track was built in the 1950s. It was measured using an odometer in a Chevrolet to measure that track length. We have 7 turns overall on this course, and it's a very fast circuit, about 45 to 50 seconds a lap from the DPs down to the GT3s for today. But to help explain what to expect for this 45-minute race here from Lime Rock, let's head to your GSRC lap guide.
All right, we've got Amjad Yaman to the GSRC BMW, so let's do a lap around Lime Rock Park. Coming down to turn 1, this is pretty much the only place to outbrake someone for a pass. This is a long and trying turn too, so if you want to hit it right, try for a double apex. Squaring this off really keeps you from being vulnerable to a sneak attack. Switch sides quickly to set up for the left-hander, and try to hold tight on the exit for a better entry into the S's. That'll dump you onto no-name straight, where carrying momentum will be important. Now, as we come to the uphill, hold on tight because we're about to catch some air. Fast drivers can't be afraid of this, but make sure you've got the car headed straight before you let her fly. Before you know it, you've hit West Bend, where precision will pay off because there's a groove you'll want to hook the car into. From there, you plunge downhill in a diving turn where it's likely to be single file most of the day. Be careful not to push wide into the dirt on the exit, and if you kept it clean, you've now finished a lap around Lime Rock. Well, the HPP Simulation Sports Car Challenge does have a points championship for each of the classes that the drivers are competing for each week. So let's go to Bill and get the update on where those stand.
Yeah, this is kind of something that GSRC threw together to keep things interesting. Let's start by looking at the prototypes first. And as we look at that one, you're going to see up on top, it's Sam Fitzpatrick. He has a couple wins. He won in week 2 and week 3 at Watson Glen and Sonoma. Has seconds at Mosport and Newburgh, so he's doing really well, out in front by quite a bit. Michael Edvolka behind him picked up his first win last time out in Germany. Carlos Labate sitting in second and third position. He had picked up a win first week at Suzuka. Then you have the final 2 cars on there, Kevin Roos and David Weiss. Let's move over to the GTEs real quick, where you can find Brian Sutton out in front by a whopping 23 points, comfortably up. He has 1 win that he picked up at Sonoma. Elliot Biddle also had a win in week 2 at Watkins Glen. He sits 23 points back. Right behind him, Ronaldo Llerena, as he is in third position. He saw a win very first week in Suzuka. Then rounding out your podium, Benjamin Perez and Miguel Beagle. Let's finally look at the GT3s, where we see the man from Maine, Dexter Castro, out in front. Even though he doesn't have a win so far, his best race was a second at Suzuka. CM Skinner, again, winless as well, but has a fourth, and a fourth. If you want to talk consistency, there you go, as he sits 3 points back. Renz Broekman is the driver in third, 15 points back. He does have 2 wins at Sonoma and Mosport, but he was absent for the first 2 races. And then Javi Gutierrez and Cameron Berry round out your overlay. Joe?
Now, Justin, shorter track in most people's minds probably equals fewer passing zones. Well, what do the drivers have to look forward to in terms of overtakes?
Not that many, because the only real overtaking zone, as you're seeing Gabriel Roos go through his qualifying laps, is through the Big Bend, really, which is the first turn. Because these cars are going 150 miles per hour into that turn, and there's no really any other place or opportunities, really, to have a chance to go for a pass here. As many people probably noticed, this is a very narrow track. That's why there is a lot of danger zones, like the uphill section of the track, the West Bend, the diving turn. Personally, I think there is a heck of a lot more danger zones overall, because overall, if anything happens in front of you, you're going to be in trouble. But this could be a very interesting one. You might see some drivers push the issue and try and make some bold passes, but if you're smart, you be patient and you wait for the Big Bend.
It's certainly going to be difficult to peel your car into any other little opening throughout the track. Now, Bill, there's been a lot of talk on the forums before this race, and the big consensus seems to be, hope you brought your interclass traffic skills to this one.
Yeah, when I found out I was going to be on the broadcast, the first thing that hit me, well, actually, there were three things that hit me. And the first thing that I said we got to worry about, that's going to be traffic. First of all, at Lime Rock, it's a really short track. The lap times are only about 45 seconds. So you're not even looking at slower traffic having to get around in different classes. You're looking at lapping cars in your same class. The second thing I was worried about, well, was traffic. And basically, it's the tight confines here at Lime Rock where it's really tough to get around. Now, there's room, if you're smart, that you can let guys by without losing any spots. But, man, you got to be really smart at it. And the third thing that worried about me, well, other than North Korea's ballistic missile capability, which really doesn't apply in this case, is you got traffic. And really, what you want to watch out for here, especially since there's only one split, this is going to be an incredibly large field. You got to be careful when you're making a pass. You might be racing somebody in your own class. Go ahead to pull around them and forget to check your mirrors. And somebody in a faster class is coming up, have the same idea. You can see that happen. You got to be really on your toes if we're going to be clean here. My gosh, it's going to be tough.
And we're looking at the group that I think is going to be having the toughest time here, Justin. That's your class, the GTEs. Not only will they be having to pass lap traffic of the slower class, but they're going to have to be passed. So they'll need to be looking both ways, and that's got to be extra frustrating.
I think so too, because as you mentioned, they're going to have to deal with being passed and passing. So it's going to be basically trying to manage a bunch of dishes and try and make sure they don't tip over from the dish rack, because you're essentially trying to do an impossible battle just about. Now, it's going to take the precision and patience to manage that battle, because if you lose that patience, or you try and push the issue, or you end up being too aggressive, you can just wish your race goodbye, because you're going to go plowing into a tire wall.
Indeed, it's very close walls in a number of places. Now, Bill, the other thing that intrigued me on this is that the pit lane also provides a bit of a tricky exit, I'd say, especially if you're going to have this many cars, 38 cars out there today.
Yeah, what's interesting is everybody should be pretty familiar with Lime Rock. I mean, you cut your teeth there. If you came up on road racing, you start here in the little MX-5. And back, Joe, we're far enough to go back when that rookie series was only 2 tracks. I mean, it would go Lime Rock, Okayama, Lime Rock, Okayama. That was it. So people have been around for a long time. But there was no pitting in that series. You got to be careful. The pit lane dumps you right off almost into the racing line, almost into the apex of that first corner. And we do have pit stops today. My gosh, and with such a large field and pit stops involved, I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see some issues going into one.
Yeah, I kind of expect that myself. Now, it looks like qualifying should mostly be over. I think everybody's got time in. Let me look to see if anybody's still yet to complete their second lap. Matt Anderson is just exiting out, but he is not going to have enough time to get his second lap in. That means everybody should have completed. So let's go through our qualifying order. Gabriel Roos is going to be on the pole with Clint Smith starting on the outside of that front row. Sam Fitzpatrick is going to be starting in third, followed by Blake Haswell in fourth. Michael Evdoka will be in fifth, with Justin Weaver rounding out row 3. Matt Anderson will be in 7th, followed by Thiago Bello in 8th. And then rounding out our prototypes is Patrick Byrne in 9th. Justin?
And in your GTEs, who might have some of the toughest times of the afternoon and the evening, Ronaldo Urena starts off the grid for the GTEs alongside David Hickman. Benjamin Perez, who's having a good point season so far, starts off row 2 with Eric Briggs. George W. Johnson and Darren Bond are in your 3rd row, while Steven Brudzowski and Christian Kabenka, goes in the row right following them. Volando Casanova and Enrique Cruz start in row 5 and row 6. Nixuardi Jerome and Tanner Lidolski. Following them off is Nathan Sorlin and Ricky Mack. Scott Breckenridge along with Peter Duhan, and 3 drivers did not record times. Actually, there's a couple times that were below the GT3s, actually, pardon me. Roy Spielman, along with Tyler Lugo Vicari. The 3 who did not record times, JP Foster, Matt Warren, and Brian Chambers. Bill?
Yeah, let's get those guys out of my GT3 class here that I'm responsible. Steve Brown sitting on the pole in the GT3s. Looks like he's in an Aston Martin out there. 2nd position is going to be Dean Fiella back there in 27th. CM Skinner in 28th overall, 3rd in class. Jesse Stevens and Jason Stahaney back there, back in the 31st and 32nd position, mixed in with a few GTEs. Then rounding out, we have 3 guys down at the bottom: Jeremy Rue, Nathan Dudek, and then N.A. McCall. Joe?
Bill, I think you've been calling the Autobahn series a little too long. I don't think we have the Aston Martins out there today. I'm pretty sure that Steve Brown is sitting in a Merc.
That is the Mercedes. Yep, yeah. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Well, we've got one short pace lap, then we go green for 45 minutes. And do I dare ask you guys for your picks today? It almost feels like, throwing a lottery out there at this point.
Well, I'll make a pick. Let's go up top. I like Gabriel Roos. Always take the pole sitter of this class I'm going to be covering up there in the prototypes. I'll go down and pick mine in GT3. Well, we see Steve Brown a lot. Again, I'd have to go chalk and pick the pole sitters, but I like Steve Brown to take it from there. Justin, who do you like in your big class of GTEs?
Depending on who survives, Urena is my major favorite. He hasn't raced in the HPP Simulation Sportscar Challenge in a few weeks, but he is one of the strongest GTE drivers in really all of the entire racing series. He's the #1 iRating split driver as well. I expect Benjamin Perez to be battling with him as well throughout the entire day. Whoever survives the first corner, though, may also be someone to watch.
We watch those GTE cars weave their way along the no-name straight. However, the fastest class is already to West Bend. They're getting doubled up here as the roof pace car works around the penultimate corner. Then it's through the diving turn. It'll peel off and we go green with Gabriel Roos having control of the field. They're going to get caught up in traffic extremely quickly. This is not going to be an easy task for any driver. But in the end, it should be smiles for our podium as the pace car peels into pit lane. Roos does not wait, and actually I think he caught our 2nd place driver out to dry as Sam Fitzpatrick works his way into 2nd. Smith slips down into 3rd around Big Bend. Let's go to our GTEs.
And the GTEs also going into the Big Bend right now. They're having a fairly clean start as Urena had a good start. Perez already moving up to 2nd. Everybody already working as fast as they can to go single file. Bill, your GT3s.
Yeah, Steve Brown out in front, but he has caught up to the back of the GTEs right now. Luckily, there wasn't that big a break. Brown in a hurry trying to get some work done, but he's already looking at traffic ahead of him.
Most everybody getting single file here in the early stages, knowing that there's a lot to worry about. No need to try and make a risky move here early on as they cross the line for the first time. Roos still leading. Fitzpatrick has opened a handy gap over Clint Smith. However, it's become a 4-car train between those guys as Blake Hoswell trails them. Bit of a battle back in 6th position as Justin Weaver goes around the outside of Matt Anderson. And as it switches back into the left-hander, Weaver gets himself a handy switch up into P6.
And it's one of many battles really in the GTEs right now. Battle for third, David Hickman trying to challenge Perez to get his position right back as he almost made it coming out of the Big Bend. Now it's about the patience because it's currently essentially a 3-car race. Hickman, as you can see, trying to time things out and wait for Perez to make a mistake as they're already putting a major gap on the 4th place car right on behind them. That would be in 4th place Eric Briggs.
Hickman gets a good run on Perez, sticks his nose into the inside, down to Big Bend. Can't quite outbrake him into the corner, but the car ahead goes off. That's Arena. That was our leader.
Yeah, that was the leader. He's going to lose 3 spots as, wow, let's take a look at your GSRC replay. He overran the corner, it looks like. Yes, that is exactly what happened because that is a very tough corner. You go from 150 having to go down to about 90. So he just went a little too quick and lost a whole heck of a lot of time because of that one mistake.
And that is a great example of how every position matters because that bumps Hickman up from 2nd to 1st in a single corner. As he now leads the way, they come to complete another lap around here.
We got more trouble. Eric Briggs gonna bounce into the tire wall coming out of the final turn.
Gonna watch the onboard here. Looks like maybe just a little bit too much curb on the inside. You're gonna see as the Illinois driver just clattered it over that inside bound. And there she goes into the tires.
And he lost a heck of a lot of positions too because of that. Now he is in the right in front really of the GT3s because of that situation. In fact, he's got a couple, I believe, right in front of him now.
Some of the GTEs and GT3s definitely mixed up amongst each other. Tyler Lugo Vickery also kind of in the mix just behind our GT3 leader, Steve Brown.
Not anymore.
Well, yeah, that solves the problem very easily for the GT3s, not so easily for Tyler, who is actually looking to get the car going again very slowly. He could be caught by our overall leaders, and now they come by. Gabriel Roos catching his first bit of traffic in a wrecked car.
Another driver in the mix back there, Eric Briggs in the GTE being run down. One of the things as a back marker, when I'm ever in a multi-class race, I always choose the slowest class because it's so deflating to choose a faster class and then be passed actually by one of the drivers, one of the lead drivers in the slower class. That's kind of what's happening right now as we look at Brown, as he has to negotiate his way around. JP Foster had a little bit of an off. And Brown is actually making moves on these slower GTE cars.
Which is rather impressive as close as these cars are. You need to be pretty handy and brave to try and overtake them.
About 3 seconds difference between the pole sitters in class, but not that much of a difference between the slowest in the one class and the fastest in the slower class.
So much dust getting kicked up coming out of that diving turn. And Brown getting re-overtaken by Biggs, who comes back through. This has got to be frustrating for the New England driver.
And now here's Foster trying to peek in. This is a bad first position. JP Foster looking in on Brown.
Well, we thought, dealing with interclass traffic was going to have a role in this.
Yeah, I apologize. Again, that is interclass. I'll get my act together here, guys.
But I suspect that if Steve Brown finds himself hassling with a slow GTE car, he could be susceptible to an attack from second place in the GT3. So it's going to be a weird one, that's for sure. As we got a car off ahead of him, that's Brian Chambers, I believe in a GTE as well.
Yeah, a lot of the GTs are just struggling to just keep control, really. A lot of the drivers, I think, who are struggling might be on default setup. Oh! That was GT3s, and now I believe it was Fitzy Stevens that was involved in that. Let's take a look at your replay there.
Jesse Stevens and Jeremy Rue. You can see on the replay into Big Bend. It looks like Jesse tried to turn into the normal line, didn't realize the car was there almost. Just absolutely clattered into his side. And now you're seeing those DP cars, the C7s, are very much in the mix.
Jesse was running third in class before that happened.
Car off ahead of the leader. That was Jeremy Rue, sorry, in the diving turn to interrupt there. almost came right back into the racing line through one of the fastest corners.
And while that was going on, I'm going to report Darren Bond put it in the wall. Go ahead.
Yeah, Michael Avdoka had to avoid a bunch of cars there, but oh my goodness, an air car in trouble. That is Briggs again coming out of the big bend off the gravel again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Lime Rock, where your head's always on a swivel.
He was trying to make a pass on Royce Spielman. Unfortunately, it did not go off. Thankfully for everybody else, he just slid out off the track and really didn't get in the way.
Now, I can report that Clint Smith has made a pass for second, got around Sam Fitzpatrick. So move Smith up into second right now as he's working, trying to get around Nathan Solian back there. Solian takes it really wide. There goes Smith.
And Biggs got into more trouble. He got tipped around by the car of Matt Anderson. That was a C7 trying to overtake a GTE car. Got into one another on the uphill. Both are able to continue, but much down the order of their classes. And
you were watching on screen. You can see that Fitzpatrick had a run on Smith, but there was just no room as Smith ducked to the inside of the slower traffic. If there is a place to pass, unfortunately, the faster car is going to do it as he's getting around lap traffic.
Take a look at the lead battle right now for the GTEs, though. Irena had a mistake in the first couple laps as the leader. He has worked his way to second already and is already trying to get by Briggs to catch up to the leader in Hickman. You've seen Irena had one of the fastest cars before that mistake, and he's closing the gap very quickly.
Oh, and Sam Fitzpatrick tried to make a move on Clint Smith, but overshot it into Big Bend. They were 3 wide for a moment, actually with our GT3 leader.
Yeah, right around Brown. Fitzpatrick actually made the pass work for about 5 seconds. Smith got back underneath him. Fitzpatrick took it in. Hotter than a curling iron on Venus, my dad used to say. So right now, Smith out in front, Fitzpatrick running in third. Of course, that's all going on behind your leader, Roos.
And meanwhile, it looks like Matt Anderson has elected to park his car next to a tire wall. So he has pulled out right in front of the third place car for the GTEs, and that was Benjamin Perez.
Chaos everywhere you look around here. Just not a lot of places to hide on only 1.5 miles of circuit.
N.A. McCall from the GT3s is way off the pace. Meanwhile, 54-second lap his last time around, and he has been just very slow. We've already had 4 DNFs on top of things. So we got, as you mentioned, everything going around the track right now.
As Ronaldo continues to close on Hickman. Hickman dealing with some traffic in the form of Tiago Bello, who just recently got by one of our DPs. Oh, and they got a car coming off just ahead of them. That's Patrick Byrne, who has a big slide, manages to catch it. Oh, but he exits. He takes a tow. He didn't hit anything. I wonder if maybe he just had enough of all this.
Possibly, because this is a very frustrating track if you, with any kind of...
Smith is off. Let's go look at Clint Smith. He was running in second position in the prototypes. Might need to get a replay happening right now.
Into the S's. Did he catch the barrier? Let's look at the replay. He was way off course. I think he just narrowly avoided, and you're going to see on the replay. Watch to the left side. Woo!
And Sam Fitzpatrick waves to him as he goes by, moves Fitzpatrick up into second.
Yeah, it just looked like he went way too fast into that corner, which led to him, of course, saying hello to the grass.
Battle for 13th overall, Steven Brzezowski and Valery Casanova in a heated battle. This is for 5th in that class. Good run up the hill from Valerio, but he couldn't do anything with it. Now they're coming down the diving turn. Let's see if he can repeat the feat and get himself a way around. Once again, momentum halted. He's going to take a look anyways. Down into Big Bend. Can he outbrake him? Is cleanly through. Stays down at the apex. Nice job by Casanova.
That was an absolute textbook pass for what you expect here at Lime Rock. Just timed it out right. I think it was smart to not try and go underneath as soon as he came out of the diving turn. He used the pole to get right by into the turn, and now he's already near the top 5 really for his class.
Well, now that Clint Shane Smith had made a mistake, that offers up third place to Blake Haswell. Can he keep it for long as Evdoka is trying to find his way past, and they've got traffic in front of them in the form of Scott Brackenridge. Oh, and are they going to come together? Almost squeezes him off as Blake tries to find the inside. Now he can duck in if he wants to. Manages to get by that GTE car of Brackenridge. It separates them slightly.
This is the best battle in the prototypes as the top two are spaced out. And now with clear traffic, Haswell starts to leg it out a bit.
Yeah, one thing to love about multi-class races, of course, there is multiple battles. That GTE battle is still heating up. That was very close, in fact, I should say. As David Hickman was very close to making the pass before a lap car and Jesse Stevens, a GT3 car, or blocked the momentum of them. That slowed up the battle a bit as you see Irena kicking up some dirt. But right now, that is one of the more intense battles. Hickman already working Irena, in fact, I think, has gotten by Hickman, as part of that chaos that happened about a lap ago with Stevens.
We're understanding that something has happened to Blake Haswell. Looks like this was, interclass problems. N.A. McCall coming off of the S's. And wow, there was another car that got involved, Michael Evdoka.
Well, Evdoka just squeezed through, I think. Remember, Evdoka was chasing Haswell.
And Haswell is into the pits now. Going to watch on board Evdoka. Everything just starts to erupt. And Bill, at times this place feels like a street course, so you can see
really
the damage accrued there. There's no place to hide if something happens in front of you.
On certain areas, it's really tight. Going into like one, though, there's like a whole golf course there to run off. But on some of the places, especially on the back half of the track, the wall is right there.
Pardon me there, Roy Spielman almost came in front of David Hickman after he went off track through the S's in the Big Bend. As you mentioned, this is kind of where there's no place to hide. That was almost a situation that just happened just moments ago where he ran over, in fact, coming back on track. That helps give Irena a bit more of a gap in the GTE class right now, although he is losing momentum as we speak to the GT3s as Hickman's to his back door.
Well, in the prototypes, it's like nobody wants third place because Evdoka was in there briefly and gave it away to Justin Weaver now, who slips onto the podium. And other than that, the podium's also important over in the GT3s. Now, Bill, Skinner seems to be disrupting the status quo here. She's not in fourth today.
No, he is not. Well, there's many issues to still come. Brown comfortably out in front. You know, it's so much of this battle as we look there at the Skinner racing third overall in class, trying to run down Piello up in front there. It's all about what we hear some people. Christian Cabanca, absolute beginner driver that we see on Sundays, yelling, "Let me go!" Dion Fierro trying to hold on.
And as speaking of holding on, George W. Johnson could not hold on to his line and just went into the dirt. He is still going, but he lost a couple spots because of that. That was just a few corners ago, so he lost a spot or two in the GTE class because of one mistake. As you mentioned, you gotta hold on. That includes your racing line.
Hope everybody at home is able to keep up. I know we're switching around a lot, but there's just so many things to cover as 38 cars work their way only a mile and a half around this circuit.
Oh, we got a car that's slow. Let's go to J.P. Foster in 29th position. The reason why is he's got a whole Hornet's nest of cars coming up behind him. He gets it going again.
And Royce Spielman just went off track around that same grouping, so that is absolute chaos to deal with. Multi-classes going through that. I think you're holding your breath if you're in that grouping right now.
You can see Casanova trying to sneak his way to the inside, but can't even do it under braking as Foster manages to hold these guys back. Fitzpatrick and a DP is in there. He's trying to weave his way through. Eric Biggs is in there. Stephen Brzezowski, George Johnson. Just a train is absolutely stacking up.
And everybody on three different agendas because they're all mixed together.
Fitzpatrick finally gets his way through, but the GTE is having a much harder time getting by Foster. In fact, Foster is a GTE.
Yeah, and some of the slower GTEs are really struggling here right now. Irena, meanwhile, is struggling to keep onto the lead because of one of those situations, because they just...
Oh, sorry. It was Foster once again putting the squeeze on Casanova down the front stretch as he's trying to put a lap on this car. They're in the same class, but he is ahead. He's getting the blue flags, but of course, oh, they almost come together in the left-hander as he squeezes him once again.
Oh, in trouble, meanwhile, as that battle's going on for the GT lead. Jesse Stevens just took out a couple cars, including Enrique Cruz.
We're going to get that replay. I'll butt in if this pass for the lead starts to go off. That is Ronaldo and Hickman that are going at it. Here we see Cruz through the left-hander. Has this happened? Oh, wow. He climbed on top of somebody. I'm not sure what kicked that off.
Yeah, I would take a look at the car who went around. I believe that was, yeah, you can see Stevens getting loose and just got ran over by two cars. Just a bad situation, a bad time, really, on a tight part of the circuit.
Oh, and we've totally forgotten about pit stops. As it sounds like our leader, Gabriel Roos, has finally effected his scheduled stop.
In for 7.1 seconds. Also in there was Idvolka was in, but he was in for 11.3. Those are the only two prototypes to pit. That battle for the GTE lead right now, it's stretched out a little bit because they have clean track ahead of them, but it won't be long till they start coming up on traffic.
I was going to say that's a rare commodity.
Yeah.
But it's still Ronaldo leading over Hickman. And I believe Hickman was our pole sitter, correct?
No, it was Irena, the pole sitter. Hickman was second, and Irena had lost some time, of course, from going to the dirt early on at the start of this before clawing his way back to the lead. But man, this is an interesting battle here. Less than a second separates the two. Irena does have the faster car in open space, but Hickman has been able to close that gap up anytime there's been a car in front of him, was what you expect really here with the traffic.
Steve Brown, our leader in the GT3, is giving some flight pattern instructions to Nathan Sorley, and he gets them around.
And that was another thing that was talked about a lot, Bill. Oh, as a car behind him goes off. Yeah, Chambers, who was in second, still is in second. Now he's been demoted as multiple GT3 cars, and he's got to wait. He's going to have to back up. Oh, and Steve has trouble. Brown in the right-hander. Coming into the S's, Sam Fitzpatrick sticks his nose in when he does not expect it.
And again, Brown was in another one of those where he had to wait. Looks like he's going to come out in second.
No, he's in fourth in class now.
Oh, yeah, he has fallen way back.
Yeah.
Fialo.
It's just moments after that, in fact, Casanova,
stay on it. And Casanova had the spin. You got it, Justin.
Yeah, just right after Steve Brown, in fact. As soon as Steve Brown got back on track, Casanova went around.
We're on Casanova, still on replay.
Yeah, the Italian driver sneaks by through there. Let's see. Oh, well, that's weird. How did he lose it on the street?
Yeah.
Maybe hardware failure or something for the OCTV driver. Meanwhile, some more of our our Daytona prototype cars. Clint Smith comes out.
Boy, if you're Steve Brown, you got to be a little bit upset. I mean, here I am running away with my class, and get turned. You would think that the leader of a class would get a little more respect than that.
I think there are no givens in this race, Bill. It is every man for himself.
So that makes Dion Fiolo now your leader in the GT3s, but he's close being chased by CM Skinner.
Ooh, a win would definitely bump Skinner up into the lead as Dexter Castro is not here today to defend his current points lead in the GT3s. Justin Weaver has come in for his stop as well in the DPs.
So has Clint Smith. 4 of those cars have come in. Fitzpatrick still out in front. Weaver in there for a long time.
I wonder if he's repairing some of that damage, to be honest.
Possibly.
So Sam Fitzpatrick, now your leader in the prototypes, but of course he still has to make his stop.
Irena,
Go ahead, I was just about to talk about that.
yes, exactly. Irena right now has reached the back of that lap traffic we were talking about a few laps ago. So he is currently being held up a fair amount. He just got by the first of those groupings in Brackenridge, as right now Hickman still waiting for that opportunity to catch right on back, because he has been able to close the gap through that big bend as he gets right by now. Irena having to basically hope he can get through this traffic quickly, because there is a slow car up ahead and a McCall bottling them up right now through the S's.
Severely, as a number of cars have to check up. Thankfully, nobody hits each other. And our leader, Ronaldo, getting super loose, coming off of the right-hander. That allows Hickman to get right up behind him, but can't make it a pass as Sam Fitzpatrick, our prototype leader, comes up behind him. He doesn't want to mess with this too much, with this being a battle for the lead, but he has to go now as he sticks it to the inside of Hickman. That's going to separate our GTE leaders.
Wow, that was just an absolutely crazy sequence through there. That's the best way to put it now. Hickman just has to basically recompose and reload to make his next move, because it's essentially a two-car battle for the lead. And it's going to get helped a little bit because Sam Fitzpatrick has to get by Irena next.
Meanwhile, Bill, you've noticed something with Jeremy Roux?
Well, I just thought he should get a little bit of love, as he's racing in third position right now. We haven't talked much about him. He's doing his best to stay out in front. The problem is he's being chased down, run down ever so slowly by Steve Brown. Remember, Brown was your leader. He was really fast until he got turned. And while that's going on, CM Skinner has just been over the radio saying, come on, guys. He's racing second in this class.
Meanwhile, the battle for third in the prototypes has heated up as Avdoka has caught Bello as they work their way through the S's now. Although this is a little bit off by strategy, as Bello has yet to stop. And there you can see he knows it. He doesn't hold Avdoka up, who sneaks through into that third spot.
Yeah, Avdoka has hopes of getting around in second. Fitzpatrick still out in front, still needs to stop. He's got about a 37-second lead over Bello.
GT3 leader Dion Fialo has come in.
First of this top runners in this class to come in. Skinner, Roux, and Brown staying out. They run 1, 2, 3 now.
And it looks like Fialo is right back out.
Georgia driver continuing on. Meanwhile, we look at Skinner, who inherits that lead. Is he going to come in now? Honestly, Bill, I'm not sure that there's too much rhyme or reason about when you would pit at a track like this with this much traffic.
Skinner all by himself right now. This is the most at peace he's been the entire race. So I think right now he's happy just to put in some time. Just go ahead and see if he can run some hot laps. He's got nobody in front of him. It's a long time till he gets up to Nathan Dudek. And Dudek's well out there.
And in the same class, so
yeah,
he's not going to catch him extremely quickly. So your leaders in each class currently, although this is mixed up by pit stops somewhat with 20 minutes to go, Sam Fitzpatrick leading the prototypes. Ronaldo Arena in the lead of the GTEs, and CM Skinner, your leader in the GT3s. And amazingly, in all of this, we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars retired, Bill.
Yeah, it really is amazing, especially for all the cars I've seen spinning. The drivers have done a good job of keeping it off the Armco.
Meanwhile, we have a bunch of position battles across the track. One of those is in your GTEs for 4th position. As right now, George W. Johnson, who had a little bit of trouble early on, is currently trying to battle with Steven Brzezowski. Just half a second, pardon me, up the road. Christian Kabenga and Casanova are right on behind them, so this is turning quickly into a 4-car battle as Kabenga trying to hold on for position for 6th in front of Casanova. Casanova, of course, had some trouble early on as well, getting around going loose down the no man's straight.
Well, Skinner's peace and quiet about to go away as Brzezowski going to be the first of these GTE cars to sneak inside as the position change potentially behind them. Casanova trying to look around the outside of Cabanca, but nothing doing down in the Big Bend.
Skinner doing his best to give room. It's just killing his lap time, though.
He's playing more than fair.
Yeah. Oh!
Cabanca drifted a little bit wide. I think Skinner saw it coming, gave him the space that he needed. Car behind. That is Vdoka, I think. Yes, going onto the grass past Casanova. Drivers having to make split-second decisions. Cannot wait around. Michael, one of them, nearly taking his own car and some other cars out as he gets on the green stuff just to get through traffic.
And now he comes in. You know, he came in one lap too late because that lap was a crusher. Let's go ahead and see if we can pick up Dion Fiello. He was the leader right now. He is working his way. Oh my, he's a long way away. He's going just down into 7 right now.
And it looks like Skinner just pulled it out of the pits.
I wonder if he missed his pit stall.
If that's the case, that might be a race costing situation or mistake there, because Skinner has had one of the fastest cars in practice before entering the session, and now he's all the way back to 3rd, and he still has to probably get fuel if that is the case.
I wonder if he thought, well, gee, I'm so fast. I mean, my pit box should be at the end of the pit lane, but multi-class racing is going to be way back farther.
So this is good news for Steve Brown, who's now up to 2nd. Fitzy, Sam Fitzpatrick has come in for his stop.
Roos is just going through the diving turn right now, down that back straight, heading towards Big Ben. Sorry, down the front straight, heading toward Big Ben. He's going to get him easy.
That's going to promote Roos back to the lead as Fitzpatrick returns to the track in 2nd place and by a significant margin over Vdoka.
Vdoka nowhere to be seen, yeah. All right, here comes Skinner. He's going to try it one more time.
Second time a charm, hopefully, for Skinner. And he's already out, actually, so.
And it looks like we got some news in the GTEs as Casanova is no more, because as many people know with official series, it is a 17-time incident limit, and he has disappeared. So let's take a look at what happened.
Got there in a hurry, didn't he?
Yep, got loose again, hit the wall, and it looks like it wasn't an incident. He pulled out manually after crashing near the pit entrance. Justin Weaver also had a similar situation out of the Big Bend just moments ago as we were showing that replay.
Well, I went back to look and see CM Skinner's pit stop to make sure he did it this time. He had the second to last pit stall. To me, Bill, that's confirmation that Skinner probably missed it first time around.
Came up quick on him. So, Steve Brown out in front. Enjoy it, though. He still has that stop to make in the GT3 class.
Interesting note that we're getting. Patrick Byrne had to back out of the race because he felt like fainting. Well, glad that he decided to hit the escape button on that one.
G-force is getting to him.
That's one thing, but
it's
still good that he did that, because you don't want to push the issue if you feel like passing out or fainting. I've tried it a few times and ended up, it not just only affected how I was driving, but affected health as...
That was our leader there having some trouble trying to get by Nathan Dudek. Let's watch the replay. GTE leader of Ronaldo, Florida driver. Wow! The TriStar coming up a little bit big in his windshield.
Yeah, I think that's his second situation where he almost went around there, or third, I should say, because he did go out into the grass out of the Big Bend at the start, as we've said a couple times already. He's got a fair gap, though, over Hickman, despite that. a 1.4 second lead. Then Benjamin Perez is way on back, about 10 seconds back, just about, with a car in between them. That is a prototype, and Blake Haswell 7 seconds between the next GTE car. So Perez, although running fairly decent, he is falling way behind the lead battle for the lead.
I don't know if you guys have been watching Nathan Dudek at all. I've been keeping my eye on that GT3 car. He's been off about 3 times in one lap now. He is struggling out there, and that's causing havoc with every bit of traffic that comes up on him. This Mercedes, which does have some damage, might want to pull off here soon.
Yeah, we already seen N.A. McCall, who's had a bunch of issues keeping up the pace, pull out. Oh, Jeremy Renault almost lost control out of the uphill bend a few moments ago. Had just barely saved it, as there is a bunch of cars now pulling out of the pits, meanwhile, from the GTE class. Tanner Lelsky in Breckenridge, meanwhile. As another car pulls out of the Big Bend, that is Bello.
And you touched on something that I had noticed just a moment ago there, Justin. We don't have a lot of our GTE drivers having pitted yet. Most of them seem to be going long.
Yeah, that's the strategy for most tracks, really. They're the last cars that really have to pit, despite how the caps work. 55% for amount of fuel you can put in the tank for the DPs. They get 50%, which is that middle range. A lot of drivers push it to just about empty, just top it off and go. Like, that is all they really have to do. As long as you time it out right, it puts you in a good position. As more cars going in.
Your leader coming in now. Urena coming in. Let's see if Hickman follows him.
Hickman elects to stay out.
Might try and push it for one more lap because, of course, this is a faster track than what we've seen in a lot of circuits. You have a chance to fall a lap down here as Steve Brown's having trouble.
Oh, Brown missed his pit stall as well. He has to back up into it. Thankfully, he didn't go too far past, but that is going to be costly. Now, Hickman is caught in a slew of traffic. Yep. That's our overall leader. Gabriel Roos trying to move to the inside of Jesse Stevens. Manages to get through. So that's 2 class leaders together there. Blake Haswell was in there trying to get by. Finally, he gets some clear air, but the damage has been done, as this is going to be an extremely slow lap for David Hickman.
In fact, that lap was so slow, he's going to stay out there one more time now the traffic's out of the way. Maybe he can get a fast one in.
I don't know.
In all of this, sorry to cut you off, Sam Fitzpatrick has cut the lead of Roos down to 1.5 seconds. He has been gaining. Oh, as he almost makes contact, he does make contact with David Hickman. That was Fitzy.
Fitzpatrick, and Hickman get together.
Let's watch the replay. They both are able to continue, but as they both get held up by the car of Tanner Latowski, you can see he gets bottled up and whoop! Just a little bit of a tap.
Doesn't cause any damage, really. It looks like just they both came down each other. Hickman is now into the pits now.
Christian Kabanga also comes in.
Ronaldo, Urena is stuck behind Stephen Brzozowski right now, but I think he should be able to get there. He's moving to the inside. Here comes a prototype.
Oh, he's well through.
Yeah, there he goes.
Almost 3 wide heading to the corner. He does get the lead back from Hickman after the pit stop there by him, though Urena still has to gap it out a little bit to just secure it, even though there is just not as a lot of time left, less than 10 minutes to go.
Horrible 2 hot laps, though, for Hickman. That just didn't work out the way he wanted.
Certainly bit him. I'm glancing back at the GT3 leader just to see where he stands. Dion Fiallo has a huge gap over Jeremy Roux. Now, we've seen nothing is assured here, so that could come down, but he's looking fairly safe that he can play nice with traffic. Since everybody has pitted, we've got just under 10 minutes left on the clock. Let's go through our top 5 in each of the classes, starting with the prototype. Sam Fitzpatrick, Fitzy, leading the way over Gabriel Roos. So we missed a pass somewhere along the line. Our DPs have swapped around. Gabriel Roos in second. Michael Evdoka is sitting in third. Clint Smith, unfortunately, an early promising start has not borne fruit, and he's sitting in fourth, with Blake Haswell rounding out our top 5, Justin, in the prototypes. Let's go to GTEs.
And your GTEs right now, your top 5 as it currently runs. Ronaldo Urena currently in the first place position for those GTEs. And despite his issues at the start, the Florida native is continuing to run very well. In second place is David Hickman. Third, Benjamin Perez. We haven't talked much about him. He is way behind Hickman right now, about 10.9 seconds. Well, in fourth position, with his troubles throughout the race, George W. Johnson still doing well with a fourth position run, while Christian Kabenka is in fifth position in these GTEs. Even though Kabenka did lose control at one point, he has worked his way back to the top 5, the California native. He had started 8th in this race. Bill?
Just to follow up on what happened to Roos before I do the GT3s, he had a horrible off in 3, went through the whole fairway there, and by the time he came back, he had lost that spot by quite a bunch. The leaders of your GT3, Diera Fiello, way out in front of Jeremy Roux. Roux has about a 2.8 second lead on Skinner. And Skinner was actually being chased by Steve Brown, but something must have happened to Brown while I was checking on to see what happened to Roux. So Brown is gone. Fourth position now, it looks like it's Jason Staney. And then finally, in fifth position, it is Roy Spielman. No, let me go back. It's Jesse Stevens. Yeah, Jesse Stevens. Oh, we think we found what happened to Brown, who was running in fourth and running down Skinner at the time. Let's see if we can find this one. There's Steve in that white car.
Let's see, he's coming through the left-hander here, up to the S's, which has caused him a few troubles throughout the day. He looks fine there. Oh no, he starts to lose it. And
Ouch.
Loops it around with a big clunk into the Armco on top of it. Also, while that was happening, Brian Chambers, maybe about 2 minutes ago, had an off, and he has come into the pit lane after his car limped halfway around the track. His day looks to be done with only 6 minutes left on the clock. But there is our overall leader, Fitzy. He's leading the championship, and he's going to extend it if he can hold on to this lead for only 6 more minutes.
Joe, really a case of the only driver, I guess, who wanted the win. When you think about it, Roos had a problem. Clint St. Smith was up there. He had a problem. Blake Haswell was racing up front. He had issues. Fitzpatrick kind of wins by default.
Fitzy didn't...
That's right.
Trouble coming out the last turn, and as Kabenga got turned around.
Ooh, contact with the wall maybe? No, it looks like he
David
kept out of
Hickman.
it. Yeah, second.
Let's take a look at the replay. He got turned around in traffic, as you're seeing here. Hickman, your second place car, got up into the right rear quarter panel, spun him around. He is still going, but man, that was just a big bottleneck. Let's take a look at Hickman here.
This is our second place driver in the GTE, so he is in a hustle, but in all the chaos, just no place.
Oh,
no!
you're right.
Trouble!
A number of our leaders in the GTE involved in this one. And just before it happened, they were complaining to the car of Brian Chambers, who, remember I mentioned, was dealing with damage. He's come back out trying to finish this race. Unfortunately, he's cost a number of drivers what could have been a good finish.
First car to get into him was Urena. Smacked him. Your GTE leader.
George Johnson got involved in it. Justin Weaver. David Hickman was on his lid.
That's Hickman who gets ran into by Brzezowski trying to get out of the way.
Oh, no. Well, that puts Benjamin Perez, a driver I don't think we've even talked about, is up in the lead now in the GTEs. When we see the replay from Ronaldo's point of view, he has been expressing his displeasure something fierce over the radio.
I think I would be in the same situation too, because you're leading the race and then that happens with 5 minutes to go. Understandably, yeah, he would be not happy. Benjamin Perez, though, is the benefactor of that. as Irena having to now go in the pits for those repairs. Hickman probably did have to go with a tow because he did flip, but Perez has a big gap over George W. Johnson by 41 seconds.
I was just about to say, you want to talk about a weird race. Perez just inherited the lead, and he's about to lap the entire field of his class. Just incredible.
Little justice for Christian Tabanka, who was just turned around by Hickman, and then Hickman gets caught up in it. So it's a little bit easier to swallow, I guess, Christian.
Racing karma, I guess you could say.
That's it. The racing gods, they are just.
But the closest battle up at the top of the GTEs now is Kubanka and Steven Brzezowski. That is for a podium spot in those GTEs.
Come on, you put what, 38 cars on Lime Rock, 3 different classes. What you know?
3 different classes with close lap times.
Right. What do you expect?
On a very tight track, and on top of that, I did mention that if you make a mistake, you'll say hello to the tire walls, and unfortunately that was what happened with a lot of drivers, but we do have some action to go for the cars who are still running here.
I think what you do expect is cars that are several laps down that are damaged not to come back out on the track. I think that's probably something you can expect.
That's a fair assumption.
I think so too. I think that's what everyone really hopes to see, as Nathan Dudak having smoke coming out of his engine meanwhile from that situation still, as he finally pulls out.
And the good news, at least for the other drivers, is that Ryan Chambers has retired after a number of drivers have expressed their displeasure with him continuing with that damaged car, so he gets taken it off the track.
Some good sarcasm out there over the mic. Well, we're getting close, boys. 2 minutes of racing to go. We'll have winners.
And losers, that's for sure. Close fight in the GTEs. Nathan Sorline and Peter DeHaan, 12th and 13th overall. This is for 6th and 7th that they're fighting for. GT3 fight's not over as Skinner has run down Rue after he's taken an extra trip through the pits. Very close between them now. And is that our leader getting bottled up behind them? No, that's Thiago Bello, who's trying to sneak by to the inside. Interrupts the battle momentarily. Game on. Rue still holding off Skinner as they come down the diving turn.
As we come across with a minute left, are we looking at? No, with lap time so fast, it's not even time for the white flag yet. Run in second. Joe Johnson in the GTEs.
George Johnson, actually.
Yeah, George Johnson.
Did he have an off? Let me see if he ran out of... I think this was just, this was a connection problem. It wasn't an incident thing. So unfortunately for George, his day is done.
They'll move Kubanka into second because of that whole situation, and that means Perez has officially lapped the field with Johnson no longer on the track.
I believe we will get white flag this time by. Sam Fitzpatrick comes around West Bend. He puts another lap on Tanner Letowski.
Got to give a shout out to George Johnson of Slow Johnson Racing.
Haven't heard that team name in a long time.
Military man stationed, I believe, in South Korea. Good to see him racing with us.
All right, last time around for Sam Fitzpatrick. He has nobody up in front of him. Blake Haswell, who is in his own class, so he shouldn't be catching him, is the next one up.
Oh, where did he go? Fitzpatrick is gone. Oh, he's back. Oh, he blinked away for a long time. Oh, he's gone again. Oh, he's gone a long time.
He's got half a lap. That's all he needs for that internet connection to hold out. The UK&I driver has got to be sweating bullets. Is he going to be our winner or not? We don't even know, despite the lengthy lead, as he comes around the diving turn down the front stretch. His connection holds out, and Sam Fitzpatrick is going to be your winner in the prototypes. Meanwhile, just behind him in the GTEs, Benjamin Perez around the same corner A surprise win for Benjamin as he inherits a win here at Lime Rock Park. Dion Fialo has half a lap to go.
And looking at the Skinner, I'm looking something. Remember, Skinner was chasing for second.
Yeah, he's gone.
He's gone.
Him missing. Meanwhile, for the win in the GT3s, Dion Fialo, another driver who survived others' mistakes to take home the win. Now, what happened to Skinner? Let's pull up the replay here. Did he get into an incident? Did he run out of gas? You know what? He may have run out of gas, Bill. He just pulls over.
Yep,
Wait.
that's what that looks like. About a half lap short.
Well, he did have the situation where he had missed his pit stall the first time, had to come back in. Maybe he said, I got to make sure I don't lose any more time. Made sure he lowered it to as much as he thought he could make it. Unfortunately, just like you said, half a lap short.
Not enough time in the Skinner box, unfortunately, for CM. So, with that, we are going to go to break here, and we'll be back after all of our upcoming races are shown on the screen here on the Global Sim Racing channel, and we'll bring you the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Welcome back to Lime Rock Park. Have you recovered yet? I hope so, because that was a whirlwind of a race here at round 6 for the HPP Sportscar Challenge. But in the end, Sam Fitzpatrick was your winner in the prototypes. Gabriel Roos followed him home. Both drivers experienced mistakes, but Sam experienced a little bit less of one. Michael Evdoka rounds out our podium. Clint Shane Smith, unfortunately, not able to show what his pace could achieve, finishes in 4th. Blake Haswell comes home in 5th, and then Tiago Bello rounds out our prototypes that managed to actually finish the race, with Tiago being 1 lap down. Leader and winner of our GTEs is Benjamin Perez, coming home 7th overall. Second in the GTEs is Christian Kabanka, a whole lap down from Benjamin. Steven Brzezowski comes home in 3rd in that class, rounding out the GTE podium, and then rounding out the top 10 overall is Matt Warren. Justin?
Nathan Soren finishing 11th position, 3 laps down in what was a crazy race. Peter DeHaan in 12th, 4 laps down. Meanwhile, was Tanner Lewowski, he and Eric Biggs, as well as Scott Breckenridge. Dion Falero, your winner of the GT3s, coming away 16th overall. Jeremy Renault, who was finished off in 2nd position in that grouping. Jason Strani, he in 3rd. You have more GTEs, meanwhile finishing off your top 20 in Roy Spielman and George W. Johnson.
George came over and said, I had a second locked up till I ran into trouble coming over the hill. Yeah, we saw that. Okay, I get the 3rd batch here, starting in 21st position. These guys are already cranky because they had a bad day, and I get to mispronounce all their names. So take it easy on me, guys. CM Skinner, Jesse Stevens, and Steve Brown go 4, 5, 6 in the GT3 category. Hey, I'm from California. Down here, we pronounce it Ronaldo Llerena. As he comes home in 24th position, he's going to be, what would that be, about, oh man, well down the list in his classes. He ran into trouble. He was out in front for a long time, just in front of David Hickman, who's going to come in right behind him. Then we get a prototype, Justin Weaver down there. JP Foster and Brian Chambers go 27th and 28th. Chambers didn't make a lot of friends this race. 29th is Ricky Mack, and then rounding out 30th position, it is Valiero Casanova.
And these are all drivers who DNF'd essentially. N.A. McCall 31st, Nathan Dudek 32nd, Zuliani Jerome in 33rd, Enrique Cruz in 34th. Then you've got some of our DPs that ran into trouble. Patrick Byrne 35th, Matt Anderson 36th, and then rounding out the field, Darren Bond 37th, and Tyler Lugo Vickery 38th and last on the field. Let's go to our interviews. First up, let's talk to Fitzy, who managed to win here today, and that's got to feel like quite an accomplishment at what I'm sure was an incredibly stressful race. Fitzy, how was the traffic, do I dare ask?
It was difficult, let's say. Yeah, I don't know how many cars I passed. Must have been like 200 cars or whatever. But yeah, that was so difficult out there. But yeah, very stressful, 60 laps or whatever.
I was seeing in the chat post-race, you were talking with Steve Brown, who was unhappy with you. Owen. You mentioned that a lot of people were giving you plenty of room, and that almost made you more aggressive. That sounds like a bit of an unusual progression.
Yeah, like what I was doing was I was like sticking my nose on the inside of cars, and they were like turning out of the corner and giving me plenty of room. So when I came up behind Steve, I kind of did the same thing, but of course he didn't see me. And it was an unreasonable move by me, so I spun him around. So that was why I became a bit too aggressive. I was just expecting cars to give me room.
Well, this moves you back to first after 2 second places at Mosport and the Nürburgring, which is going to help you in the championship over Michael Evdoka. Are you thinking about that at all, or are you just out here to have fun in this time slot each week?
I'm really having fun in this time slot because it's nice to rack up plenty of points. But of course, still like half the season to go, so just got a lot more races to go, I guess.
Well, the biggest relief is that you're going to complete opposite of a track with Spa, plenty of room next week, and we can't wait to see you back.
Yeah, really looking forward to Spa, one of my favorite tracks. So yeah, cheers.
Sam Fitzpatrick, our winner in the prototypes today. Sounds like Justin has caught up with our somewhat of a surprise winner, Ben Perez, who's still been a front runner for most of this season, takes home the win in GTE.
Thank you very much, Joe. And Benjamin, you're coming into today with a victory now because of what was, I don't even know how to describe it, what was a crazy situation with a few minutes to go. How do you feel about winning this for your Team Bushfink Racing, in your Team Bushfink Racing car, I should say, with the circumstances?
Well, I'll be honest. I didn't really feel like I deserved that win. I was a bit off pace of Reynaldo and David, but that's racing, and sometimes it's unfortunate for Reynaldo because I know Reynaldo not personally, but he is a friend of mine, so it's unfortunate that his race ended up going the way it did. But a win's a win, so I'm happy with that, and I'll take it.
It was still your first win in this time slot overall, so at least there is one positive out of this. How was it to manage today's race? Because, as Patrick Burney has described it, this was like getting surrounded by an army of machete fighters and trying to run away in circles.
It did seem that way. It was not as chaotic as I was expecting it to be, but it was still pretty much the entire 45 minutes was pretty stressful, having to manage the traffic and figure out where a car is going to give me room, where a car isn't going to give me room. But it wasn't too bad overall. It was fun. I'll say that.
Yeah, it did look like it was fun up here, too. It was a fast road course, of course, this week, and having to manage traffic, as mentioned. So, basically now, what do you look forward to as we go into our next week, which is coming towards Spa?
Spa, I think, is definitely going to be a very fun track, especially for the GTEs. I haven't really driven any laps there yet, but with the amount of downforce that these cars have, I'm expecting it to be quite fun. And massive contrast from this track, Lime Rock, is it's a lot bigger, so hopefully not as many accidents and whatnot there.
I think that's the thought process for a lot of people right now after seeing what happened here with Lime Rock. But is there anything you want to say to your TBR train, which is going on right now in our GSRC chat right now?
Well, nothing. Just massive thanks to everybody on Team Bushfink, for cheering me on and keeping me as part of the team. They're a great group of guys, and we got Craig Williams making a lot of our setups for the community even. So massive props to him. I didn't actually use one of his setups this week, but just know, Craig, that I do use your setups almost every week.
Thank you very much for the time, Benjamin. Congratulations on the win, despite the circumstances with how it happened. And Benjamin Perez coming away with the win, his first in this time slot for the GTEs.
Great job by Perez, but we are going to close up today and get ourselves some rest after that one. Of course, a big thank you to HPP Simulations for sponsoring this series, and thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Bill, Justin, Amjad, and Dougie. We'll have your regular team back next week. We just had a few people that had to call off this time around. Thanks. Of course, if you want to know more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at Global Sim Racing Channel, or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel or Facebook at /Global Sim Racing Channel. The next race is going to be at Spa, as we mentioned. That'll be July 28th, I should say, at 8:45 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on your screen. Check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.